What up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Corner Podcast. Kel Dansby here with the old man, Andreas and Kel, coming at you from Blue Wire Studios in the Wynn Resort in Las Vegas. Man, thank you, everyone, again, for supporting on Patreon. I can't say it enough. Everyone on there, you guys are the best. Love the Corner Club OGs as well. Regular Corner Club members, you guys are amazing. Everyone on there. Jump into Discord, though. I need to chat it up a bit more. We have a lot of stuff going on this week. And it's usually popping mostly during wrestling. So I got it. Yeah. This weekend, though, we'll be on there so we can talk everything that goes down in Perth.
You going to be up? You going to be awake for that?
I might be awake for that.
Man, you wild.
I might be awake for that on Saturday. I might go out. I'm not going to lie. I might go out Friday night, come back, just watch it, and then crash.
Nah, fuck that.
So I think I'm going to stay awake for it. If not, I'll catch you in the morning. Still, Discord going up. And then next weekend, AEW at a reasonable time. We get to talk during that and really just have fun, hear my hot takes. Me, producer Cole Bebe, fantasy booking in there, the old man popping in, shooting down all the shit that we just said for that past hour before then. So it's ton of fun during wrestling events. Got to get it popping for boxing and MMA as well. So we appreciate everyone over there for coming through. By the way, if you're listening to us traditionally on a podcast streaming app, make sure you give us a like and subscribe on there. Nice little review goes far as well. Today, though, Dre, we're starting the week with MMA. It's because we just had one hell of a pay-per-view. And then the UFC's coming back right away with a Mexico City card that is also stacked on the main card.
Yep.
And it's just like, okay, they decided to stop playing games. They're like, okay, we're going to put our best foot forward. We're going to put Michael Chandler on WWE Raw calling out Conor McGregor. We're going to pull out all the stops now. And we'll talk about the pay-per-view here in a second before we get into the Mexico City card. And to end the show, we have our guest coming in, Chris Duncan, fighting Manuel Torres in Mexico. Hostile environment, so we'll talk to him as well. That'll be fun. I got to get your thoughts on the crossover stuff. Chandler promo, yay or nay? Weren't you on Busted Open right after that? No, you were on
I was on Busted Open
on the
Saturday.
weekend. Yes,
yeah,
yes.
On Saturday after SmackDown. I like the crossover to a degree, but this felt like they pushed the button for crossover. They was like, crossover! Have Michael, because they had Bianca and Montez at UFC.
Yeah.
So they're trying to create the synergy. The thing is, a lot of wrestlers like MMA. I don't know if a lot of MMA fighters like wrestling, right? I don't think it goes both ways.
True. They all think they can do it, though. They all think they can cut a promo and be Hulk Hogan or Ric Flair.
Yeah, a lot of them understand what a promo does, but a lot of pro wrestlers like MMA. Yeah. A lot of wrestlers I talk to, we talk about MMA. So I could see the crossover working and Chandler, cutting a promo on Conor, which it don't mean shit. It ain't getting Conor to go, you know what, I need to fight him now.
Not at all.
But
that's what did it. This embarrassed me on Raw.
Yeah, who gives a shit? But TKO, I get what they're doing. It makes sense. And you have to have some crossover. The crossover isn't what it should be. The crossover actually should be UFC walkouts should be like pro wrestling entrances. That's the problem.
Pride walkouts?
Yes.
Old school. You want to bring it back.
Come on, man. Listen, the blandest thing about MMA is the walkout. We like the fights, but the walkouts are lame.
Yeah.
Pro wrestling entrances,
the music is great because they can license music.
Yeah, but
you're just walking through a tiny tunnel.
Look. Whenever people play the WWE video games, you spend a lot of time watching the entrances because the entrances are what matter. So if the UFC was about entrances, we'd be caring about entrances.
Colby Covington would come out full on Cody Rhodes.
I'm all for it. Listen.
Whoa.
I think he's again, y'all know how I feel about Colby Covington, but everything
works with the gimmick.
Yeah, everything is pro wrestling. So if we had, for instance, when we get into the pay-per-view, if we had Paulo Costa with a different kind of interest that showed off his personality with the secret juice, or we had Ilia Topuria with a full-on Spanish entrance, we got Volkanovski with his Australian entrance, but we had a kangaroo walking out with him. Make this shit sports entertainment.
The kangaroos are very hostile creatures.
Yeah, they probably kick a motherfucker in the chest. But I'm just saying, that's where the crossover should be. The thing that's lacking in the UFC is the presentation. Because the fight is the fight. And the post-fight interviews are often forced and feel utterly ridiculous. But if the walkout was unique and interesting, that'd be great. Like if you had
Nothing's better than that Conor Mendez walkout.
yeah, dog.
Sinead O'Connor and everything.
And I don't know
that
why
was
they
a
don't do
bare
it
minimum.
anymore.
That
Right?
was the only time I've seen that.
Like I don't know why they don't do that anymore. Like these entrances should feel like a big deal for every major fight. And I get it. Dana is not very interested in that stuff, but that's what makes fighters fighters.
They only do it for Conor. He had the smoke against Khabib, Undertaker style, the billowing smoke.
And then he got smoked. But it is what it is.
That
But
happens.
the crossover should be beyond just like a UFC fighter at WWE. Like it should feel a lot more organic, and it doesn't yet, but it'll take some time.
Yeah, Chandler's promo, he kind of lost me in the beginning, but he pulled it back together.
I mean, look, man.
He got too hype, and I understand because you may think like you're cutting a promo like in the mirror in the bathroom or something. You're like, I got this shit, like I crush it.
Ain't the same.
And then they gave him the mic, and the adrenaline kicked in.
Yeah.
And he was just yelling like real angrily. And it was like, yo, calm down a little bit so we can understand what you're saying. Then he brought it in. But then he said, Conor McGregor. And it was just like, you cut a promo on what you think promos sound like.
Yeah, it don't sound like that.
No, they don't sound like that.
It don't sound like that, but I get it. I get the sentiment. Like everybody thinks they can do it until the lights turn on.
Yeah.
The lights come on, you
got
be
way
like,
too
oh
hype.
shit. Like
Way too hype.
I have to actually cut a promo. But it's fine. Like I expected this to happen. It's gonna feel clunky for at least a couple months till they figure it out. Again, Bianca and Montez was at UFC 298.
Yeah.
And there's a better way to utilize them. Like they're in the crowd watching the fight, and Bianca's at her first UFC fight, Montez too. Like I saw him at the press conference. We talked about it. I was like, "What y'all gonna be doing?" It was like, "We're just gonna enjoy the fights." I was like, "There should be better integration. Like there's better ways to do this."
Like Chandler got a mic.
Yeah, like
there's something they could.
what I can't remember what women fighter walked out to Bianca's music in her UFC Fight Night card.
Oh really?
Yeah, so it's like there's better ways
That's
to
dope.
to utilize and
Not Angie Hill.
Nah, I wasn't.
Oh,
It was
that's some
actually
Angie
like
Hill shit.
it was like a Mexican fighter, I think.
Wow, that's dope.
So there's ways to use that crossover that feels really organic. They haven't figured it out yet. They got time.
Yeah, it's young in the game for them.
Yeah.
But no, you had mentioned UFC 298. It's the natural place to start.
Yeah, let's start.
The card on paper, the main card, stacked. And for the most part, the fights were okay to begin the card.
Yeah, we're fine. Yeah.
It didn't live up to what I thought it was going to be.
No.
But, and I'm just run through all these because you know where the hell we're getting to.
Yes.
But Anthony Hernandez submits Kopylov.
Yo,
I had that going the wrong direction.
I did too. I think a lot of people did because Kopylov had a tremendous takedown defense.
Yeah.
And then Anthony Hernandez took him down, and Kopylov was like, I don't know what to do from here.
I've never been here.
Like, look, I stopped takedowns. I don't know what to do when I'm actually taken down. And Hernandez choked him out. He cracks the top 15 in the middleweight division? Yeah.
Middleweight.
So now it's Anthony Hernandez is a player now. But Kopylov was like, I know how to stop takedowns, but once I get here, I don't know the fuck I'm doing.
That's a lot of the game for people.
Yeah.
Merab versus Cejudo.
Look, the first round I was like, what is Merab doing? He was allowing Cejudo to take the center of the octagon. He was striking with him. And then in the second round, Merab was like, I know what I'm doing. And you can see, I told you, in that third round,
Made him work.
Merab looked at Cejudo. Cejudo was like, he was like, fuck. And the worst part about it is Aljo revealing that they sparred for 15 minutes before the fight started.
Like real, all out.
Yeah.
Getting it.
Aljo was like, yo, he kicked me in the calf and it hurt. And I'm like, bro, like this guy's a maniac. But it's like I said, like Cejudo retired. And they asked Dana. Dana was like, "You're already retired. Like, what the fuck am I giving the mic for?" It was Merab's moment. Dana was absolutely right.
Yeah.
Like, you don't get the mic again. You already retired once. But Merab is that guy. He is that guy.
To be fair, Cejudo probably comes back again just because.
He might. I think Cejudo's in an interesting spot where you were the flyweight champion. You clearly can't make that, right?
That's what's tough.
Yeah, at bantamweight, there's O'Malley, there's Corey Sandhagen, there's Petr Yan. Like, you probably ain't beating, like, the top 5.
Yeah.
What are you going to do, go up to featherweight? And you're mincemeat at featherweight.
Yeah. No, the key is cutting because that division's wide open. And you were
Also,
king of that
Cejudo's
division.
37. That's the other problem.
Yeah, it might be tight. He wasted a lot of time thinking he was bigger than he was.
Did you see the payout?
No.
So they released, shout out to Manuk, Akopian over at LA Times. He released the payouts in LA. Cejudo only got paid $150,000, which was like 5th highest on the card. Vogt, Topuria, Costa, Whitaker, somebody else got paid more than Cejudo. And I was like, that's crazy. You were holding out for all that bread and you only got $150,000?
Guaranteed. He on a 150 and 150 still?
Yeah, you got dragged. I think it was just 150 guaranteed. No pay-per-view points. You're the former champ.
Yeah. Like you held out.
Yeah, you held out to get more bread and you ended up getting no more bread and you got your ass dragged.
Podcast with Tyson.
Yep. You got your ass dragged.
So he's 0-2 in the return.
Yeah.
Well, that didn't
Sucks
go
to
how
be
we
you.
thought. Yeah, the game catches you fast. Marab's a monster.
Yeah, he's next in line. Strangely enough,
he is not going.
They
will do everything in their power to keep him away from Sean O'Malley.
They announced it. It never happens. Immediately after Marab wins, was it Rogan or Cormier? Whoever got the octagon was like, you get the next title.
Yeah, it was Cormier.
He's getting the next title shot. It's happening. Now, the interesting thing is...
The camera panned to O'Malley after the main event, and we will talk.
We'll talk about that, but depending on how O'Malley looks against Chito Vera, that's what it really depends on.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is, there's still a path to victory for O'Malley against Marab. Marab stands and strikes with you, you can knock him out. Like,
people have.
Like if Marab does what he did against Cejudo, O'Malley has a chance. But if Marab says, fuck that, I'm just putting my head in your chest for 25 minutes, he has no chance.
No, it's tough.
So we'll see. Like Sean O'Malley's talking about going to featherweight. Like he's talking about a bunch of wild shit. Like
he's on his Conor shit.
We'll talk about it. There ain't no more Conors. It's a wrap.
He's on his Conor shit. And then Ian Gary versus Jeff Neal. I don't care about the fight. Ian Gary wins. To me, he should win. Right? This is a fight for him to win. Cool. Great. Where did all this hate for Ian Machado Gary come from?
I
just figured out he took his wife's maiden name.
Yeah.
Or married name. He took his wife's married name.
Yeah.
And put it as part of his name so that the kids could all have the same name. Wouldn't get confused. Whatever. Outside of that, and like occasional jokes, because if you're ribbing him for that, I get it. That's pretty funny. Outside of that, I don't know where this wave of hate came from.
Yo, it's a crazy wave of hate. Between his wife, his technique, how he fought Jeff Neal, and Ian was very straightforward. He's like, yo, if that big motherfucker's coming at you, what would you do? Run. Bitch, that's what I did. And
it's like, he's powerful.
Yes.
That's all he got.
I think Ian Machado Gary is a really good fighter. I think he said he'd fight Colby Covington next, which I keep saying I want Colby Covington fed to Shaft Cat, but I'm fine with the Machado Gary fight.
Yeah.
I don't understand where all this hate came from. Like, it came and it's been like, just like they just raining on Machado Gary. Like, he's trash. And he's not. He's a good fighter.
When they signed him, the hype is that he's kind of like, he could be McGregor-esque.
Sure.
And they signed him.
We got to stop that narrative.
That was,
for everybody.
That's, if you're Irish or anywhere from over there, Scottish.
It's like everybody's Floyd.
Like, like, they're like, yo, he could be the next, even Patty.
Yeah.
If you're from anywhere around the UK, like,
if you got
have some charisma.
Yeah, you got an accent.
Yo, you're the next. But when I looked at him, I was like, honestly, well-rounded. Like, he don't got the power of a Conor, but well-rounded. Probably more well-rounded when he was signed than Conor. Like, he has less holes in his game than Conor ever did. And if you want to get behind somebody, I thought this would be the guy.
I like Ian Machado Gary. I think he said some cringy shit. I can't remember what fight it was where it was like, we don't talk about beating our kids. That was stupid.
Yeah, I mean, the guys are weird. I mean,
but fighters are weirdos.
MMA, yeah.
Fighters are fucking weirdos.
Is he any more weird than half the other people?
No.
We see in the octagon?
But I thought he fought a good fight against Jeff Neal. I thought he deserved to win. I don't think it was a robbery. And I think he is a guy that's in the top 5 of the welterweight division. I think he's that good. I think he's got great lateral movement. He's got great oblique kicks. He controls range well. He stays out of trouble in striking distance. He does a lot of things really well. And some people just don't like how technically sound he is. And people don't like movement. They don't like people moving around.
No.
Jeff Neal is heavy on his front foot and like plants and throws. And Ian was like, I ain't standing there waiting for that shit. I'm getting out of the way.
Just gonna stand and bang, bro.
So, yeah, I didn't understand the hate. Machado Gary's really good. I'm always entertained when I see him fight. I think he's got a great fighting style. It's very weird.
People are very weird right now with him. And then Robert Whittaker, Paulo Costa. Bobby Knuckles wins. I thought he was going to win the whole time.
Me too.
I was impressed by Paulo Costa.
I was when he hit the spinning heel kick at the end of the first round.
I thought it was done.
Yeah, I was like Robert Whittaker's dead.
And that shit came quick.
Yeah,
there was no telegraphing, nothing.
This was the best version of Paulo Costa I think we've ever seen.
Cardio.
In a loss, he looked phenomenal, right? So I feel like in the middleweight division, he is a problem for a lot of people. But the right guy won. Robert Whittaker is still that dude. He still got a chin made out of granite. Like if he sees it coming, granted, like I know he didn't see the spinning heel kick coming.
Yeah,
but he's got a hell of a chin. But Robert Whittaker still fights the same way I always said that what did him against Israel Adesanya. He still fights very robotic.
Yeah.
Like 1-1-2, 1-1-2, 1-1-2. And if you can't figure it out, then he wins. But if you're like an Alex Pereira or Israel Adesanya, you can neutralize all that.
Paulo Costa timed it.
Yeah, like you figure it out.
He caught him. He just ran out of time.
That's all. But I thought, like, to me, I took more away from Costa losing than Whittaker winning.
I did too. I maybe it's because I just came in with the expectation of Whittaker was going to win. But Paulo Costa, the shape he was in, the cardio, like I've never seen his cardio look this good.
He looked great.
Looked great. He was quick on all his strikes. He looked like the faster, more explosive.
Yes.
He wasn't just a big lumbering guy. It wasn't him, Yoel Romero.
Nah, man.
Like everything was fast twitch. It was like, okay, this is the guy who won all those fights with the right opponent. I think he'd look great at light heavy.
Yeah. Well,
he's a big ass dude. And if he can be that quick at light heavy, I love his chances. I'm not saying he has to move up yet.
Right.
But it's one of those things where if you're blocked from a title contention type thing, maybe you start considering that eventually.
Perhaps.
But I think he'd do well up there. I think he now has a new lease on his career because of what he showed. If he can remain that smart, that level of intent during fights, he's going to be dangerous.
He was disciplined. Like he fought a very disciplined fight. He didn't exhaust his gas tank in the first or second round. He was poised. He picked his spots very well. He looked really good. Yeah. It's one of the few times where I looked at the loser and I was like, yeah, you lost, but I was impressed.
And he damn near could have won that fight.
Was that close?
It's just that last minute. Like Whittaker is just the way he closed round 2 and 3. Yeah. It's just you can tell which one of them were a champion before. Yeah. Absolutely. And that's some shit you can't teach. Absolutely. Whittaker is just, I know how to close these. And I know how to win these close ones. Yep. Before we go to the main event, Mackenzie Dern won that damn fight.
No, she didn't.
Mackenzie Dern won the fight, Dre.
No, she didn't.
Had Amanda Lemos in hell in the first round.
Look.
Second round, okay, she loses on the feet. Third round, she has the takedown. She's threatening 4 to 5 submissions the entire time. What did Amanda Lemos do in the third round? Nothing.
Look, man.
Mackenzie had a limb. She almost wrapped her up in a heel hook twice. She was threatening the entire time. Nick's in the booth. Judges and people do not care about jiu-jitsu anymore. They do not know how to score it. They do not know what is a defensive position from an offensive position. They see someone on their back or on their ass and think they are not in control. When entire time in that third round, Mackenzie Dern was threatening, had Lemos scared for her life in 3 different positions because her ass was about to get tapped out. Mackenzie Dern, for some reason, can't lock in these submissions, but she threatened the entire time and was in an offensive position from her back. They don't know how to score it.
Look, man, let's just be honest about Mackenzie Dern. She's not that good.
She's better in this fight than a lot of fights.
My point is that her striking
is ranked like 3rd in the division.
Her striking is awful.
Not great.
It's awful. It's not even not great. It's awful. And I know Angela Hill sitting there going, what happened to this motherfucker? Like, in the Angie Hill fight, Mackenzie's striking looked good.
It looked good in the first round. Then she got cracked in the nose. And shelled up.
She got the Ryan Garcia, right? Where she starts turning her back.
Yeah.
She has that really bad.
She got hit in the nose and ran.
And for a lot of judges, it's like, who would I prefer to be? And you keep looking at Mackenzie's face, and it's just melting down.
That's tough.
Mackenzie Dern, I don't know who she's got to get with in terms of striking, but I think we're getting to the point where it's just not going to get better. And she's in a tough spot because her jiu-jitsu, her non-MMA jiu-jitsu is so good.
Yes.
That we expect her to be better, but she can't lock in a submission to save her life.
I don't need her to work on her striking. The hell with the striking.
No, she has to.
It may never get better, Dre.
She has
I'm
to.
taking the L.
She has to.
I need her to go spend, don't fight, 6 months with Charles Oliveira. 6 months. And say, why do we end up in the same positions? Because a long time he didn't have striking. And then he did. And cool, I can learn some striking from you. But every time you're on the ground in a good, favorable position, you finish someone. Every time I'm in the same position, I can't do anything. You show me the difference between my jiu-jitsu and what your jiu-jitsu looks like and why you have the most submissions in UFC history, and I haven't had one in like 4 years. I asked Nick this the other day. Me and him were talking like outside the booth. I was like, yo, did she ever do jiu-jitsu without a gi? And I don't know how to look this up, but I'm pretty sure in a gi, she's wrapping everyone in a pretzel. When 85% of her wins in a gi. It's like, yo, you don't have that cloth. You can't grab. People are slippery. You got to figure some other shit out.
So here's the issue. Here's the actual issue with Mackenzie Dern. This is why she has to work on her striking. Because everybody that prepares for the same shit.
Just ground shit.
That's it. Like, just survive. Because Mackenzie will put herself in disadvantageous positions to try to fish for a submission, but it doesn't look good.
Yeah.
Right? So with no threat of a ground and pound, with no threat of a stand-up game, I'm coming in with tunnel vision. The only way Mackenzie can beat me is if she submits me. So all I got to do is if it gets on the ground, I'm blocking. She's not great at advancing.
No.
Like, if you watch her ground game, she fishes for submissions from wherever she's at.
She's best off her back, and that does not look
No,
good.
like Charles Oliveira, when he started becoming a threat with his striking, you had a lot to worry about. Yeah. So he would hurt you. Like, that was Charles's thing. He would hurt you and submit you because you were dazed. You couldn't figure out what's going on. Mackenzie's not hurting anybody.
All your wits are about
you.
you.
You're like, I'm here, and she's here, and I'm like, oh, I know what she's about to do now. Yeah. There's no threat for ground and pound. Mackenzie Dern's never going to get any better. She's reached that point in her career where it's like,
she's a fun gatekeeper.
She's past that. She's not top 5 in the division.
I still think she won this fight. Would you would have put her at 3? But sure, she
can
compete with the third best in the division. You'll hang around for her.
She'll hang around and she'll still book fights, but she's got to develop another dimension to her game where people respect ground and pound. Even her takedowns are whack.
Yeah, she had better takedowns. Her first round takedown, I was looking and I thought of you. It's like, she shot for a single.
Yeah, but you got to do more of that. Like, there's
second round, she tried it, got punched in the nose, started leaking,
and she don't like that. Like, yo, this girl does not.
She pulled guard. She was on her back. Really, the ref could have stopped it because she turned her back.
Yeah,
that didn't work. She just ran on the ground and curled up into a ball. She threw one up kick that was really high.
Was it the second round when she got dropped and started doing the bicycle kicks?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, this doesn't look good.
No. That could have been a 10-8 round. If you want to call it a draw, I'll give you a draw. She won the third. It's just not pretty.
I'm not arguing that Mackenzie Dern wins anything. I'm just not.
It's not pretty. And then main event, Alexander Volkanovski, Ilia Topuria. One day I'm just letting Nick take my seat on this damn show when we're talking MMA. Because Nick Diaz, if you guys don't follow Nick, Veterans Minimum, I don't know what the hell you guys are doing in your life. But we did the show with him. It has to be a year ago now. It was a while. Over the summer? Oh, no. Yeah, Nick was going somewhere weird like Colombia and shit. So we pre-recorded this. So it was like probably 8 months ago. And we did, our championship predictions, our champion predictions. And Immediate. Ilia Topuria. And I was like, okay. I see him leaving himself open a lot.
He does.
The level of competition was there. And he had to beat Volk
Yep.
to become champion. There was a lot of shit stacked against him. Nick was confident. This motherfucker was right. Ilia was confident. All week, only thing that gave me pause and trepidation, and again, smartest shit Conor McGregor ever said, the chin never recovers.
It ain't the chin, it's the age. I'm convinced now.
I'm okay with the age.
I'm not.
When he got knocked out,
Dog.
and you move up, and then you get knocked out, and it's just like, now you know you can be, and your body knows you can be. And
I don't think it's the chin. I'm dead ass. Nobody aside from Tyron Woodley has won over the age of 35 in the championship fight. It's the age.
Under 170.
Yep, under 170. Nobody. So Volk came out with a plan, very kick heavy, very counter heavy. The crazy thing about Ilia Topuria is he fights one way, and it's just his boxing. Like, yeah, he landed some decent calf kicks, right? And they were actually really good calf kicks, but it was really just his boxing.
Yeah, he was tearing that front leg up, though.
And he doesn't have to do anything else because he's so explosive and so powerful. It was the thing that I was worried about, but I thought Volk, which he did well in the first round for a while, he was like, all right, picking him off. But he was still, if we were doing this in real time, if I was on commentary that night, the moment I saw Volk pull his head straight back, he's getting knocked out. That's exactly, I didn't watch the fight till later.
Yeah.
Like I muted you guys in the group chat. I watched it like 2 a.m. But the first time he pulled his head straight back, I was like, oh, fuck, he's getting knocked out. The reason why I thought that is because Volk never has really done that before, which means there is a level of apprehension and fear of what's coming back at you.
Sure.
And Topuria is very straightforward. I'm coming at you. My hands are high, and I'm throwing hands. And Volk was throwing a lot of kicks, which I was like, he's throwing a lot of kicks. And kicks are exhausting.
Yeah.
Right? And I think Volk has great cardio, but when you're doing that, you're basing it off a strategy you saw in previous fights, which is fine. But when you start pulling your head straight back, I'm like, all it takes is a looping right hand to put you to sleep. Because you can only pull your head back so far until your back's up against the cage.
I'll tell you, Ilia Topuria's team did an amazing job with that strategy. It's because what stops Volk from pulling his head back, why we never really saw, but what changed, and again, there's shit that you can't stop your mind from thinking, right? And I think DC said at one point, Volk is always lateral, left and right. This is how he fights. Lateral, he stops, he'll switch stance or whatever, but he wants to get you moving laterally. He'll pick you off with his jab and everything. You can't catch him. It's very hard to cut off the ring on Volk. Now, that's standard Volk. The one time he did that it didn't work out, was his fight previous to this. He went laterally, caught a kick to the head. So now you're a little bit more timid on going left to right because you took a head kick and walked right into that shit. Which, credit Islam and his team. It's like the guy goes left to right. He's going to walk into something. So we throw a kick, he walked into it. Now Volk is thinking, all right, left to right, maybe I can. But I'm a little more hesitant with that shit. Immediately, Ilia was like, I'm not chasing you. I'm taking away your front leg. And we're going to see how long you can move left to right on one fucking leg. And instead, and I knew it was trouble, instead of Volk switching out of southpaw, because he fights in both stances.
Yes.
Instead of him going to an orthodox stance and saying, all right, well, now you can't kick this lead leg because Ilia's not going to change. Like you said, You're not going to switch your stance, so you're not going to hit my right leg. And I can continue going left to right, and I'm not in danger. And I'm pretty sure if you pull up the Islam fight, Volk was probably in an orthodox stance, not a southpaw, when he got kicked in the fucking head. So when you're looking at this, and Volk is only in southpaw, and it's like, yo, just switch orthodox, bro. And he can't kick your lead leg. You can go left and right, and you're fine. When he stood in southpaw, oh, now you can't go left or right. And then you start going front and back, and you pull back. And you're not moving. And that's exactly where his line of sight was. And Ilia said, if you're not going to switch, I'm going to just keep kicking your leg, and we're going to stop all that movement shit. And now we're in a phone booth. And I got you. And Volk, I would have loved to see him or his corner make that adjustment. And this is 3 fights in a row for that team where you don't make in-fight adjustments.
Who? For Volk?
For City Kickboxing.
Oh, well, okay. You talking about the Adesanya Strickland fight too? Okay.
Adesanya Strickland.
Yeah.
Pereira's in the corner.
Yeah.
Pereira says, I know what to do against Izzy in this moment.
Well, Izzy made the adjustments in the second fight.
Strickland? No, I'm saying. He told Strickland, if you do this to Izzy, this is how he's going to react. Now, Izzy caught Pereira, but yo, Strickland, use your defense. This is the one shit he's going to throw. This is how you fight him. And you can catch him. Strickland did that. As soon as Izzy got hurt, there was no adjustments.
Right.
He just got his ass whooped for the rest of the fight and said, well, now we got to go back to the drawing board. That was in the second round against Izzy. It went 5.
Yeah.
And Izzy won the first.
Mm-hmm.
No adjustments. For Volk, in this, his leg was done after the first. No adjustment. Into the second round, he gets knocked out. Volk against Islam. Yo, the same shit in the first fight is not working. You just rolled off the couch. You know, we got to try something different. Islam stood on the feet, kicked his head off. So it's like, you're about 3 fights now where there's no in-fight adjustments. And your only answer to shit, we're going to get back in the gym. We're going to train. We're going to fix this. What's going on during and in between rounds?
I mean, all right, so let's start here. 1, I was wrong, right?
Most people were.
But the thing is, the reason why I was wrong is what separates MMA from boxing is the margin for error is so small in MMA compared to boxing. Because Volkanovski, if it was boxing, we had heavier gloves, he could have got away with that shit for multiple rounds, right? Because he was like, Topuria's nose was turning red because he was peppering him with that jab.
Oh, the jab was landing.
So, like, for instance, if you're not a big puncher in boxing, you got a great jab like Devin Haney, for instance, you can get hit with a heavy shot and be like, all right, cool. I can deal with that and I can go back to what I was doing. You don't got that margin for error in MMA. And what Topuria knew was like, I know how explosive I am. If I can close the distance, I can finish the job. There's not much of an adjustment that you can have. Your corner can't help you. And once, because the things happen so fast. Like you get in the octagon with somebody, you realize, oh, he's a lot more explosive than I thought, right? I have to adjust. Well, how the fuck do you make that adjustment? Adesanya, we got to take him out of the equation. Adesanya clearly underestimated Sean Strickland.
Sure.
Clearly. Volk didn't underestimate Topuria. He just got caught up in like, oh, fuck, he's faster than I thought.
After the first round, someone in that corner got to go, change your stance. He's kicking the shit out of your leg. Change the stance.
Your corner can't save you. In a fight like that, your corner can't save you. Because it's legitimately one punch.
Got to try something. Like, yo, your legs already mentioned. Worst case, even if you don't get knocked out, we got 20 more minutes of him kicking this leg. We got to switch stances.
The best fighters in the world don't adjust because of their corner.
No, they adjust themselves.
Yes, they adjust because of what they're dealing with. And Topuria, again, it's a very strange thing because he fights one way. He hasn't had to show us anything else over the past, 5 fights. He closes distance. He's super explosive. And if he gets his hands on you, he's going to hurt you. And his guard high, come in, step inside, make sure you can't circle away, cut you off, land the right hand, land a flying knee, whatever it is, right? He's so explosive they all, again, I thought he leaves himself open because he opens up so wide that Volk could counter with the right hand. Volk didn't even have time because Volk couldn't figure it out that quick. Like, this shit was coming fast to him. So what Topuria did, it was like, it's a very MMA thing. Conor did the same thing.
I was about to say, Conor was very...
It's like, if you can't figure out this part of my game, I ain't got to show you the rest.
No.
I can just show you this, and you can't deal with it. Mm-hmm. So Volk got caught up in a situation where it was like, this is happening so fast, I'm pulling my head back. Cardinal sin in boxing. Cardinal sin in any combat sport to pull your head straight back. Topuria knocked him out. And it was one punch. Like, the lead kicks were great, but he didn't really hurt him until he landed that right hand. And by the time he landed that right hand, it wasn't like, oh, that was a big punch. I can figure it was lights out.
Yeah.
New champ, end of everything. 18 champions in 18 months. The UFC has had 18 champions in 18 months. It's insane because now people are like, this is the new guy. Do you know now that Volk is lost? The longest reigning champion in the UFC has two title defenses?
Leon Edwards.
2.
In like 3 years.
2. Colby Covington and Kamaru Usman in the rematch. That's the longest reigning champion in any weight class. And I'm going to circle it to this.
It's not how you build stars.
This is why the UFC doesn't build stars. Because I don't have time. Conor McGregor was a mistake. Like I've said it a million times. Conor McGregor, like, there are people that say, well, they needed Conor McGregor. No, they don't. Because you can't hitch your wagon to somebody that might get knocked out in this next fight. Right now you have, how many divisions are there? There's heavy, light heavy.
8 for men.
Middle, welter, lightweight, featherweight, bantamweight, flyweight. So that's 8 weight classes.
8 for men.
And then the
3
winner,
for women?
Yeah. So that's 11 weight classes. Nobody has more than 2 title defenses. So if you give somebody that much power, even O'Malley.
You build them into a star before they get to the title.
But that's the problem.
O'Malley.
The problem is,
once you get to the title, your system's flawed. It's not flawed. It's flawed in a good way, where they're going to only fight killers.
but the thing is this is the reason why they race them up the ladder. Because you can lose on any given night. So if you're Sean O'Malley, it's like they gave him Petr Yan because it was like if he fights Cheeto, he might lose. If he fights Sandhagen, he might lose. He's probably going to lose to Merab. 1-2, skip a few of them in the title fight, right? But this is the reason why.
Make your money while you make your money.
This is the reason why they don't build stars anymore. Because it's so volatile that anybody can lose. We build fights. Fuck stars.
But are you saying that MMA wasn't as volatile 15, what would now be 15, 20 years ago?
MMA has been volatile for the entirety of its existence.
But you have Anderson Silva's amazing run. You have, Jose Aldo's amazing run.
That was in WEC.
Even the UFC run was
He had
long.
but I'm saying,
long.
but the game catches up to you at a certain point. Like
GSP long. We can't get one of these guys.
No.
We had them all active at the same time.
everybody's catching up. This is my point. I'm bringing it all back.
Nunez was the last one that's in their cloth.
Let me bring it back. Ilia Topuria has relied heavily on one discipline to get him a title, right? You don't have to be well-rounded. You don't have to be like, my jiu-jitsu is as good as my striking. Focus on one fucking thing, and the UFC be like, fuck it, we'll run you up to that ladder.
Yeah, it's the Ronda Rousey. It's the Conor McGregor.
It's the Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira's fucking ground game is awful.
Oh, it's horrendous.
They brought him in for one reason and one reason only: deal with the other striker. And he's we'll talk about UFC 300.
Yeah.
But now it's like he's won titles in 2 weight classes. And everybody that looks at him goes, he has no ground game. We ain't got time for that shit. We're going to have you fight a striker.
Hamzat's like, let me get a visa.
Right. And they're like,
somebody.
And they're like, no.
No.
Because we don't got time for that. Like, we're gonna get him his couple title defenses, and then he's gonna lose. They know he's going to lose.
That brings me to a question then. The only people to buck your trend, and I'll ask you, is this because 2 things equal? Islam,
Okay.
great run so far.
But he's lost, right?
Long ago.
But he lost.
Sure,
Yeah.
long ago. They'll give you 1 loss. Long ago.
Yeah.
Islam, Habib,
Mm-hmm.
and then I would say now you have a guy like Hamza on the horizon. Do you think the reason why we see this much turnover and it's so volatile is because the people on top have been predominantly strikers as opposed to wrestlers?
No.
Do you think wrestling as a base, as in GSP, wrestling as a base leads to the ability to carry a title longer because it's less threats if that is your base and you're just grounding people?
No. I just think you focus on one discipline, you can win the title.
If that discipline is wrestling, it's a lot harder for someone to beat you than it is if that one discipline is striking.
No, it's not.
Really?
Look at the history of every weight class. Colby Covington's base has been wrestling. He ain't shit. Kamaru Usman's base was wrestling,
and his run was.
But
Pretty
did
good.
he use wrestling?
No, he was just throwing hands.
So who else are we talking about? Like, who is foundation has been wrestling that has a long run as a champion?
Habibi GSP.
How long was Habib's run as champion?
Cormier, if he didn't run into John Jones several times.
How long was Habib's run as champion?
Oh, his run as champion was only like 3 years, but his run in general, he never lost.
It's great, but it was 19 fights, right?
Sure.
And Habib is very unique.
Coming.
Yeah, but my point is that they're not Habib is a unique example because they slow played Habib because weight cutting issues, and there was a lot of shit that happened with Habib. But you look at every champion in the UFC right now, for the most part, O'Malley raced up the ladder. Pereira raced up the ladder. Tom Aspinall raced up the ladder.
Izzy
raced up the ladder.
Striker.
Right? Conor raced up the ladder. You go down that list, striking is the dominant reason why people become champion. Yes. But it's not the reason why
the reason why they lose.
But exactly. Yeah. It's not the reason why they stay champion. Yeah. So it's such a volatile discipline because if you're not a striker, the fans don't give a fuck about you. Fans don't like submissions. Fans like knockouts. So Conor knocking people out was what the fans wanted. They did well. They was like, Frankie Edgar was like, hey, what about me? And they was like, not you. 1-2 skip if you. Chad, the only reason why Chad Mendes got that fight is because he rolled off the couch.
Yeah.
Jose Aldo fought Conor, and Jose Aldo was tremendous, but it was striker versus striker, essentially. Israel Adesanya fought Kelvin Gastelum. He fought Marvin Vettori.
Robert
Whittaker, Derek Brunson. And
Jared Cannonier.
Well, after he won the title. But these are all strikers.
Was Cannonier not a title fight?
No, he defended the title against I'm talking about his way up.
Yeah, way up.
Pereira was what? Strickland, some other guy. Izzy.
Beat the shit out of Sean Strickland.
Like, John, and this is why John Jones is the greatest mixed martial artist that ever lived. This motherfucker just don't lose. It doesn't happen.
Never uses wrestling.
It does.
He threw DC around like a rad dog, and then he just won this title off of strictly wrestling.
Look, Volk beat another striker, Max Holloway. But then he ran to a buzzsaw named Ilia Topuria, which I think is almost inevitable because striker versus striker, these little ass gloves leave the margin for error for that. So as long as you're explosive, Topuria can knock you out. Anybody can knock anybody out. Yeah. So
but then he can get chinned.
They all can get chinned. Sean O'Malley, striker, raced up the ladder.
Yeah.
There's a reason.
Cheeto could kick his leg off tomorrow.
But they're setting that fight up because they know Cheeto will strike with him. If Marab fights him, the UFC already knows. He's probably gonna lose that.
Yep.
So
take his ass down.
So we don't have. So what we need to do is build a star that's good enough to sell a pay-per-view, but not good enough to sell themselves. Right. So it's like if I get too good, you're gonna come asking me for more money. It's like I ain't gonna do that because you might lose your next fight.
Yeah.
But sell my pay-per-view. That's your job. They're not gonna. There's never going to be another Conor McGregor. It was a mistake, and it's over now.
I never say never.
No, they're never gonna. They're not gonna let another individual have that kind of power over the promotion.
For any reason, Sean O'Malley, and it's hard to get to Conor levels, but Sean O'Malley beats Cheeto, beats Marab, goes up, say Ilya's still champion, beats Ilia in a 3-fight run in a perfect fucking world. Yeah. Say he starches all 3 of them, boom, 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 and then says, I'm going to fight Tank.
They say no. 100%.
Not this again.
No, fuck.
Because that would push him to Conor levels.
Because one, the UFC
could be.
The
They're
UFC
just not gonna let it happen.
The UFC is looking at it like he's probably gonna lose one of these guys.
Yes.
Hunter and Dana like, man, this fucker's gonna lose. But if he were to keep winning, he's like, I want Tank. They're like, absolutely not. Because if you fight Tank, the fuck you gonna come back to us for this $1 million bag? You just made $15 million. It was the biggest mistake the UFC ever made, and they're never gonna do it again. Francis Ngannou. What is his calling card?
Show him the door.
Like, for instance,
Knockouts.
knockouts. Amanda Nunes. What was her calling card? Fuck all that jiu-jitsu shit. Ronda, I'm going to beat the brakes off you. Cyborg. What was her calling card? She had good jiu-jitsu. But if I put a hand on you, you're going to sleep.
Yeah.
So the only divisions, flyweight, Davidson Figueiredo and Brandon Moreno have those wars. And nobody cares about either of them now. Look, Brandon Moreno's headlining Mexico.
Say he's about to fight. We're about to talk about this fight right now.
He's headlining Mexico, but he ain't making $1 million.
No.
He ain't making $500,000. He's fighting on a fight night.
Probably around $300K.
He's fighting on a fight night. I don't think he's making $300K.
Maybe.
Henry Cejudo made $150,000. You gonna tell me that Brandon Moreno's making more money?
Yeah, it's in Mexico City. It's not at the Apex.
You think the UFC cares where they stage the fight at?
No, there's a lot of people. You got some gate. Give the man $300K.
Like, you think Weili Zhang's making a ton of money?
No. No one's making. If you judge the impact of the fighters by the fight purse, you're going to come up very short in your arguments of anyone who matters.
Bro, Alexa Grasso's the champ. What?
She could walk down this hallway outside of the studio right now, and not one person would stop Alexa Grasso.
And Valentina Shevchenko, we thought she was unbeatable.
Yep.
We thought Amanda Nunes was unbeatable.
Still can't believe she lost.
Nobody is unbeatable. And Topuria just proved that because he didn't go out there and do mixed martial arts. He went out there and boxed. He beat Volkanovski in a kickboxing match. There was no takedowns. There was no shooting. It's hardly any clinch work.
Yep.
Just let me land this right hand and see what happens. And Volk went to sleep.
It's a good plan. You got that
It's
right.
It's a great plan, and it works. But this is why the UFC is like, we ain't making no more Conor McGregors. We are not focusing on talent. We're focusing on making fights, which is why UFC 300, while people are complaining, it's like, shut the fuck up. That card is stacked.
It is, but I'm one of the people complaining.
You can complain. What does it mean? What do you?
Alex Pereira, the main event of UFC 300.
Yeah.
Alex Pereira has 11 total fights.
Sure.
He is 9-2.
Uh-huh.
Yes, he is champion.
Yep.
Jamal Hill has 13 total fights.
Mm-hmm.
He was champion.
Yeah.
Man has 2 thumbs up on his chest, which we just need to get redone, Jamal. It's all right. You don't got to get rid of him. Just get touched up. A little bit better of an artist.
Mm-hmm.
Weili Zhang is in the co-main event, defending strawweight title. The real main event is called just engaging Max Holloway. And then Charles Oliveira, Saruki. If those were the main and co-main events, I'd be like, hey, this is not bad.
Is it going to stop people from buying the card?
No, people buy this anyway.
Thank you. This is my point. Like,
Is it going to sell more than $299? No, and 300 probably should. It's a flagship.
But we don't know, right? We're not going to know the numbers.
No, we don't.
We can only speculate.
Yeah, we don't know.
So UFC 300 is stacked. In terms of quality of fights, it's stacked.
Yeah.
People were like,
Bo Nickel, Kayla Harrison, Cody Garbrandt.
it's fucking stacked.
This shit's stupid.
Davidson Figueiredo, former champion, is fighting on the prelims, bro. He's fighting on the prelims. This card is stacked. My point is that, yeah, when they announced the UFC 300 main event is Alex Pereira versus Jamal Hill, it landed like a wet fart, right? Like, everybody's like, what?
They didn't announce it on broadcast.
No, but for a reason. Like,
They went to IG.
it doesn't matter because this sport isn't built on stars. They don't care. They don't care.
Cold world.
Max Holloway is fighting for a fake belt when his ass should have sat down and waited for the outcome of this fight.
Oh, yeah. He got to be upset.
He's not.
They'll give him the fight anyway.
But the problem is the timelines get fucked up.
Yeah. Volk will probably have to run it back with Topuria. Max will need some time.
They're not going to give Volk the rematch. I don't believe, unless they have nobody. What happens is if Yair Rodriguez beats Brian Ortega, Yair gets to fight against Topuria. Guaranteed.
That's good matchmaking.
It is, but that's what's going to happen.
You're crushing the Spanish market.
Spanish versus Mexico, huge fight.
Put that shit in Spain, now we're cooking.
Huge fight. They're not going to wait on Max. Max about to get the shit beat out of him.
Yeah, Max gonna need some time.
Like, Max, the UFC,
I love Max.
the UFC should have never booked this fight, and Max should have never accepted it. But in his wild brain, he was like, "Yeah, I can win the BMF title. Who cares about a fake title, bro? Like, the real title's at 45.
How much you paying me? Because that title may not mean.
But it's the third fight on the card. But to a lot of people, it's the main event because two guys with the biggest name recognition.
Yep.
Because nobody cares about Jamal Hill and Alex Pereira like that.
No.
Nobody cares about Yan Zionin and Weili Zhang like that. But you buy. This is the difference in boxing. You don't buy the card because of the main event. UFC fans buy the card because of the card.
Yeah.
And this card it's loaded. Look, how many champions do we have on this card? Champions and former champions. Alex Pereira, Jamal Hill, Weili Zhang, Aljamain Sterling, Justin Gaethje, if you can't enter him.
Yep.
Max Holloway, Cody Garbrandt, Davison Figueiredo. There's nothing but champions on this card.
And if not, then everybody else, Yuri Prochazka,
Charles Oliveira.
Aljo.
Like, this card is loaded with champions.
And then you have, again, Bo Nickel.
But it's not a selling point.
Holly Holm.
Yeah, Holly Holm.
Kayla Harrison. Again, a prospect or champion up and down the card. Jessica Andrade.
Yeah, former champion. But we loaded this card, and the selling point is we don't have a bunch of former champions. The selling point is these are good fights.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be a great night of fights.
Yeah, Alex Pereira versus Jamal.
I wish there was a little more oomph on it,
But what does it mean? The UFC ain't in here to sell
it
you.
It only means something because 100 and 200 were like, they made it a thing. Like, yo, these are the holy grail. Only because 100 was fucking.
I mean, even 100, it was Brock Lesnar, right?
Yeah.
It was Brock Lesnar, Frank Mir. It was GSP versus Thiago Alves.
John Jones was buried on that card.
Yeah.
Like, that card is stupid when you look back.
Dan Henderson and Michael Bisping. I was there. I was there for 100 and 200. But in the grand scheme of things, like, even if you look at 200, like, go back and look at 200.
Nah, the fight fell through. That was tough.
It was John and DC was supposed to be the main event. And
it's still on my credential at home. Like, their faces.
Brock versus Mark Hunt. Like, what?
Yeah. Which ended up in a lawsuit.
And, you know, it ended up being Amanda Nunes and Miesha Tate.
Was Brock Lesnar not the main event
No.
of UFC 100?
No.
That's some shit.
Jose Aldo fought Frankie Edgar that night.
I would tell. Yep. So we have Filthy Tom Lawler.
Yeah, he was a pro wrestler.
Beat TB Dalloway. Dong Hyun Kim beat TJ Grant. John Jones submitted Jake O'Brien. Jim Miller.
Oh, you talking about 100?
Right. 100.
Yeah.
Jim Miller picked up a win. Still fighting. Mark Coleman beat Stephen Bonner. Then
the Godfather of ground and pound.
Yo, Akiyama opened the main card. Hendo beat Bisping.
Yeah, he killed him.
With an H-bomb.
Yes.
George St. Pierre, Thiago Alves.
Yep.
Lay and pray. That was a stinker. Brock Lesnar, Frank Mir. And then John Fitch, Paulo Thiago. This is going to be a lot like UFC 100. Where people are going to be like, yo, what was the main event?
Don't matter.
No fucking clue. Because I could not have picked the UFC 100 main event out if you would have been like, yo, for $1 million.
My point is that they're selling UFC 300. They're not selling a fight. They're selling this the 300th UFC pay-per-view. That's it.
Well, this weekend, there's stat card too. We're about to talk to Chris Duncan here in like 2 minutes. But Chris Duncan, Manuel Torres, picking Chris Duncan there because he's on the show. Raul Rosas Jr. in Mexico City. That should be fun. A young star there. But it's really co-main main. Yair Rodriguez versus Brian Ortega.
Man, that's a good fight. Last time I ended in the eye poke. Look, man, I've been a stern believer in Brian Ortega for a long time. But so much time has passed. There's been so many gaps in his fighting. Yair's gotten better. I think Yair beats him.
I think T-City subs him.
He could. Look.
I don't know what Yair's ground game is, but I'm pretty sure it's non-existent.
Not as good as Brian Ortega's. Look, if you're listening to this show to find picks, find another fucking show to listen to. Because
horrible.
None of us know shit anymore.
No.
Sean Strickland beat Israel Adesanya. Like, there's so much shit that happens that I'm like,
throw it all away.
I don't care. I'm going to pick Yair. Good fucking luck. We'll see what happens.
Moreno versus Royval. Brandon Moreno's going to win this fight.
Royval is really good.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm picking Moreno's too, but I don't know shit anymore. I don't know what the hell's going on anymore.
Man, it's like I talk MMA all week.
I do this shit for a living, and I don't know what's happening. I'm not going to pretend like I know what happens in these little ass gloves. I don't know.
Just sit out and enjoy. Yeah, it's a mess. It's going to be fun, though. It's going to be entertaining. It's going to be a good card. You guys don't go anywhere, though. We're coming back right after this with Chris Duncan chopping it up. He's in Mexico City. The old man got to run out of here, but I'll hold it down, talk to Chris, and talk to him about this fight week, what it's like being in hostile territory, what it's like to be a Scottish fighter, and the pride he takes in that. So you guys don't go anywhere. Be right back right after this.